working.
If you and Ursula can be heard, then.
Why does it say I'm muted?
Ursula, can you still hear us?
I can, yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna make Bill. And Bill.
Yep, send him the pin. Yeah, go ahead and make Bill an organizer as well.
Well, how do I make an organizer? Oh, make organizer. Yeah. Okay. It's not like working.
Yeah, it's acting a little weird.
Okay. All right. I'm looking at the chat box because I just want to make sure people can hear me.
I can dial in and confirm it myself.
Okay. All right. Let's just get started. Bill, can you hear me? All right. Ursula? Ursula?
Yep, I'm here.
You know, can you tell if anybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to get started. Okay, thank you guys so much. I'm so sorry for that, and I think we're ready to go. Thank you for bearing with me on this. So we'll start. Thank you guys for participating in this webinar. This webinar serves to give you some kind of general information about the show. This is a really big show. Oh, somebody can't hear me. I'm not coming through your computer. Okay. I don't know what to do about that. A bunch of people don't know what to go. Okay, we're working on, we're going to work on, yeah, there is a call-in number that comes when you go to the link. Yeah, so when you click the link, you get a number. The people on this call, of course, already know that. So when you get, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay. So anyway, this webinar serves to kind of give you some details about the show, about how to exhibit. The show is very big, obviously, and so we want to make sure that we can explain to you so that before it starts, you kind of understand what to do. All right. So on this call today will be myself, Amanda Patrick, and I'm the Vice President of Trade Shows here at the Railway Supply Institute. I have been working here for, I guess, 11 years, and so I have been doing railway interchange since its inception. My colleague Ursula Susi is also on the line. She works with REMSA, which is one of the other associations that put on railway interchange. And then finally, on the call, speaking will be Bill Bennett, and he is also a colleague of ours, and he works with Freeman. And Freeman is our show contractor. So he's the one who actually does a lot of the hard work. So we're really grateful to Bill for all of his work with us, and he will be able to answer a lot of questions. So I'm trying to see. Bill, are you on? Don't know. Sending you the audio pin. Okay. All right. I'm going to text Bill. Oh, okay. All right. So that is us. Next we have, so basically these are the general kind of instructions for kind of what we're doing today during this call. We're going to talk about the exhibit hall, where the exhibits are located in the convention center, the show hours and move in and move out. Installation and dismantle for this show is a little bit complex, and so it's really important to kind of understand how that works. Information about what your booth comes with and kind of what you're going to need to order, and then what you kind of want to know ahead of time about your booth. Kind of information about what the Exhibitor Service Kit is. I know I use that word a lot, Exhibitor Service Kit. That's put together next by Freeman. And so we're going to explain kind of what that is and how you can use it to your advantage. Information about shipping and material handling, which is always a question that people have, especially given just the overall amount of freight at this show. On or add your company information, how you can use security, kind of what you need to do to protect your booth and your space. And hello. And then finally, upcoming deadlines and Q&A. Is this Bill?
Hello?
Hello? Is this Bill? No. Okay, everybody, please mute yourself so that you can we can all hear. Okay.
Hello, Amanda? Can everyone hear me?
I can, Ursula.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here and in the interest of time, get going here. So on this slide, everyone can see the level 1 of the Minneapolis Convention Center. Exhibits will be hosted in Exhibit Halls B, C, D, and E, with REMSA in Hall B and part of C, RSI in C and D, and RSSI in D and E. Some additional places to note is the registration area, which will be just outside of Hall B. And this is where you will need to go to pick up your exhibit badge before gaining access to the exhibit hall for both move-in and then for the general show. Another place to note at the sort of bottom middle of the floor is the shuttle bus pickup and drop-off area. A few of you will be staying at hotels that have shuttle service. So this is where you will be dropped off by your hotel shuttle and pick it up to get back to your hotel. Additionally, because this is an outdoor year show, we will also be hosting exhibits at the outdoor BNSF Northtown Yard and organizing shuttle service to and from that yard during show hours. I strongly recommend that if you aren't exhibiting out at the hall, that you find some time to check out the exhibits at the yard. And we will be running shuttles every 15 minutes during show hours from this spot to the Northtown Yard. And it's about a 15-20 minute ride. Additionally, the REMSA information booth is located just inside Hall B. So any questions that you have for us, we will be having some tchotchkes and giveaways in our booth, as well as the RSI information booth just outside of the RSI information area in Hall D. And then lastly, the Freeman Service Desk will be located in room 102, D and E, and that's where you can visit Freeman, make any last-minute orders, and check in on the status of drayage, packaging, all of that, and Bill will go over that in more detail on the next few slides. Next slide, Amanda. Yep, that's the one. So here is just a quick overview of the indoor exhibit show hours and the installation and dismantle schedule. please, I'll turn it over to Bill in just a moment to go over the targeted freight move-in schedule, but as you can see, exhibitor move-in does begin at 8 a.m. on Thursday, September 19th, for those exhibitors who on the targeted move-in schedule have that early morning Thursday slot. So we'll go over that in more detail. But in order to move in, you will need a badge or wristband to gain access to the exhibit hall. And again, we'll go over that in more detail. Exhibitor move-in, again, is on Friday per the targeted freight move-in schedule, which we'll go over on the next slide. And then Saturday is just general exhibitor move-in, and we ask that all exhibits are set up by 4:30 p.m. It looks like per the conversation that some people are still having some issues hearing me. But I'll continue on, and then hopefully we can send out the recording to those who weren't able to get in on the audio. The show begins at 1 p.m. on Sunday with the expo hall opening, and then through Tuesday when we end at 3 p.m. Exhibitor movement out will begin promptly at 3:30, no sooner, so please don't begin breaking down your booth in advance of 3:30 on Tuesday, September 24th. And then please be free and clear of all of your exhibit space by noon on Thursday, the 26th. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bill on the next slide, who will go over the targeted freight move-in plan and schedule in a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Ursula. Good afternoon, everybody who's on the call. My name is Bill Bennett. I'm with Freeman. And this slide that we're looking at is the targeted move-in schedule for exhibitors that begins on Thursday, the 19th. And it has two move-in times on Thursday. There's a check-in time and then an actual time when the trucks will be unloaded. So that's the difference. Check-in will start at 7 a.m. for those exhibitors that are being unloaded that have 8 o'clock targets. And then at the next targets are 12:30 p.m. and the check-in for those exhibitors starts at 11 a.m. So the two targets for Thursday are 8 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. If you're an exhibitor that has either yellow or blue, your booth is highlighted, and those are the times that you have been assigned for the move-in at the convention center. The next target dates are Friday, September 20th, and again, we have two target times. We have an 8 a.m. and a 12:30. So if you have the purple or green, that means that you're on Friday, and those are the times that we would you have been assigned. Now, is this set in stone, these target times? No. You may request a change in target. You know, that maybe you don't want to be there at 8 o'clock. You want the 12:30. Okay. All you need to do is send, as it says there in the lower right-hand corner, it says target changes may be requested via email by sending a request to Lisa McGinnis in the freight department here at Freeman. So you would send that request to change your target, so that and you most likely you'll be accommodated. But the reason that we target this is because for the logistics, not every convention center has a lot of loading docks or a marshaling yard, and that's the case with the Minneapolis Convention Center. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the exhibitors at the front of the hall in first, so that we can fill in behind them with the exhibitors that are towards the loading docks, because it's very it can be very challenging to bring large pieces of machinery to the front of the hall if the rest of the show is already set up and we have to go down aisles. Sometimes we have to take booths down to accommodate those kind of late move-ins. So we target this so that we can try to get everybody in an organized fashion and make it an efficient move-in as well. So that's why it's been targeted, just because the logistics require us to do so. But again, if you want to change your target, please reach out to Lisa McGinnis, and you can we'll change your targets. There is no marshalling yard in the Minneapolis Convention Center, so it's the trucks will pull up out back, and there's Freeman will check in the trucks as they for their assigned target times, and we prefer that trucks don't come for mixed targets. Like, we don't want Friday's targets to show up on Thursday. We would discourage that, because we're gonna honor the people that whose carriers show up for the targets on the day that they're targeted for. And that's pretty much the targeted floor plan. Does anybody have any questions about their freight targeting?
I'm happy to, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat box.
All right.
And
I guess we can go to the next slide.
Hey, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I already got a question about, is there move-in on Sunday? And I just want to go ahead and tell people, because I know that we have screwed up with people's time schedules, but there is no move-in on Sunday. So you've got to be moved in on Saturday by 4:30. Sunday morning will be exhibitor access. So that's a great time to come to your booth if you want to test your technology, have a staff meeting, things like that. But you may not put up your booth on Sunday morning. That is not going to be allowed. There's a lot of cleanup involved with this show. There's a lot of trash, and we have to get that show ready to go at 1 p.m., ideally earlier. So somebody asked a question.
Okay, someone had a question, and could they move in on Saturday? You certainly can. I mean, if you
yes,
especially need Freeman to help you move in. I mean, if you're just going to arrive and hand carry your materials to your booth, sure, you can come in on Saturday. But if you are a large exhibitor, I imagine Saturday wouldn't work for you. But yes, you can arrive Saturday if you want, but maybe you're setting up your booth doesn't take a lot of time, and Saturday works for you. Feel free to come in Saturday.
Someone says, Bill, does someone from the company need to be at the booth at the time of unload to ensure proper placement of items? Well,
not necessarily for if it's just display materials. Let's where an exhibitor does need to be present is if they have machinery and it has to be set in specific areas of your booth. And in that case, yes, you need to be there to spot that machinery at the time it's being unloaded, because otherwise, when you show up and the machines are not in the exact location you want them in your booth, you weren't there to spot the machines. If you need a forklift to come back and respot the machines, we'll do that as an additional charge. But it would be more efficient if the exhibitor is there to spot the machines, so they're oriented in the exact location they need them to be as they're being unloaded.
Somebody also asked, and I'm going to go up a slide, where the entrances are. Hold on, I'm waiting for the audience view to change. The main entrances are down toward actually the bottom of the floor plan, not at the very top. So the very top of the floor plan is where the loading docks are. So the bottom part of the floor plan in front of those exhibit halls, I'm on slide 5. Can you see that? Is it not moving? Okay, I'm just going to go. I don't know. We're having technical difficulties. Surprise there. Okay. Switch off. This is what I wanted to show. Screen. We're just going to here we go. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. So down here toward the bottom of this floor plan, so we've got REMSA, RSSI, RSI, and then down kind of toward the bottom here are the main entrances to the exhibit hall. So the top is kind of where Freeman and the loading docks will be, and down toward the bottom is going to be kind of where the entrances are. So that's a great question. I had another question, I think from Ernesto, about the floor load limit. Bill, what is it, 400?
I think it's 350. Give me just a few minutes, or give me about 30 seconds to verify that, but I think it's 350 a square foot for the floor load. Great question, especially if you have machinery.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right, very good. Okay. Here are some notes on installation and dismantle that I think we should all know. I've kind of gone over some of this. All of your exhibits have to be completely installed by 4:30 on Saturday, September 21st. Inevitably, somebody will be coming in late and they will have trouble getting their booth set up by 4:30. So my advice is that if you need to stay late to get your booth set up, then you need to stay in the hall and not leave. So you cannot leave the hall and go out to dinner. You need to stay in the hall until you're completely done. If that's 6:30 or 7, that's okay, but you're not going to be able to get back in the hall. There's not going to be anybody in the exhibit hall checking badges or letting people in. And so please, please, please be sure to have your booth set up and ready to go by 4:30. And if you need to stay late, be sure to stay in the hall and not try to get back in later. Nobody is in the hall, allowed in the hall who's under 18 during move-in and move-out. And also, you have to have closed-toed shoes on. Especially for this show, it's almost like a work zone. There's equipment everywhere. There's machinery. There are forklifts. There are lots of opportunities for tripping. There's I mean, there's just a lot of heavy freight and opportunities to trip and things like that. So we will be working on our end to make sure that everything is as safe as possible. But we also need you all to, help us by not letting anybody in who's under 18, and also wearing closed-toed shoes. And also, for obvious reasons, you'll need to have an exhibitor badge, or if you have an exhibitor and appointed contractor, we will get them wristbands. So we need to know from the show management perspective who is in the hall and do they have access to the hall. A couple of people had asked, will we receive the slideshow afterwards? Yes, you will. Exhibitors will have access to the exhibit hall 1 hour prior to the show. So if you need to come in early, have a staff meeting, or kind of get your booth set up, you will have access with an exhibitor badge. If you have a person from your company who's registered for the show but is not an exhibitor badge, they don't have a badge that says exhibitor, they will not be allowed in 1 hour early. So if you need help fixing that problem, you can let Ursula or myself know, and we can help you with that. But just so you know, they're not going to be able to get in an hour early if they do not have a badge that says exhibitor on it. Move out, it says 3 o'clock. The hall will close at 3 o'clock on the 24th. You may not start packing up your booth at 2:45 because the exhibit hall starts to sound like somebody is moving out and it's kind of loud and people are still doing business. So please, please, please do not dismantle early. And also this clears up space for Freeman to get the carpet up, and once that aisle carpet comes up, you'll start getting your freight. So that's always a good thing to get your freight. Bill, do you have any comments on that?
No, Amanda, to be courteous to all the rest of the exhibitors, dismantling early, it does interrupt them doing business on the floor. You're not saving any time by breaking down early. And when it is time to break down, as Amanda said, we're trying to roll the aisle carpet up because we can't bring the empties back to the exhibitors until the aisle carpet has been removed. So keep the dismantle within the confines of your booth space. Please don't put anything out in the aisle, the carpeted aisle, while we're trying to get that rolled up. And then it only takes us about 30, 40 minutes to get the aisle carpet up. You will start seeing the empties returned immediately. And the cartons, the cardboard boxes, and the small plastic cases will be returned first, followed by the heavy crates.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Another thing to note that's new this year is that we will have a keynote speaker starting at 11:45 on Monday, and so the exhibit hall is going to close from 11:45 until 1 o'clock. Everybody will have to leave, including exhibitors, so kind of be prepared for that. We will be doing some music. We're going to be asking people to leave politely, starting about, I think, like 11:15, kind of making an announcement. So we need exhibitors to kind of help us with that process. We'll turn the lights down, we'll play some music, but everybody's going to have to leave so that we can make sure the hall is secure. So during that time, we'll have people walking around the hall, and we'll have people, security people walking around the hall to make sure everything is safe. So please help us with that. And we have a great keynote speaker this year. Her name is Bernice Armour. She's really cool. She was America's first African-American pilot. I think you all will enjoy her. And then the hall will open at 1 p.m. for lunch, and exhibitors can come back in at 12:40 if you need to send somebody back. Michelle says, who is the main contact for booth deliveries? How can I schedule my booth coming from Las Vegas to your facility? Bill, I'll let you answer that.
Okay. There's two ways that you can send your materials to the trade show. You can send it in advance to the Freeman warehouse in Minneapolis, and if you do that, those materials will be in your booth space when you arrive to set up. Or the other way is to send it direct to show site, and then in that case you have to follow the freight target move-in schedule, and for those carriers to make the deliveries. And then but that information is in the Exhibitor Service Kit, but both the warehouse shipping address, the show site shipping address, and shipping labels for both of those locations are in the Exhibitor Service Kit for you to utilize.
And we will go over that in just a minute. For those of you who are asking questions and asking to be the presenters, it would be helpful if I can wait until the end to do that. So if you could just bear with me, that would be great. Okay, Ursula, you're going to go with what comes with your booth.
All right, thanks, guys. So just moving on quickly, what comes with your booth? So for every 100 square feet, you do get 2 complimentary exhibitor staff badges, and that does max out at 30. You should have all received an email from RCS Registration with your designated registration login. This is a special link unique to your company, and it was sent to the primary booth contact on your exhibit contract. So if you haven't seen that, let me or Amanda know, and we can have that resent to you. But that is a special exhibitor registration link. You will be able to log in and manage all of your company's complimentary registrations, as well as purchase any additional registrations you may need. Also, each booth does come with pipe and drape, 8-foot high back wall, and 3-foot high side dividers. The drape will be black, and the aisle carpets will be a tuxedo color, which is a black sort of speckled white. Additionally, all booths under 300 square feet will receive a 7 by 44 inch identification sign. Booths larger than 300 square feet can receive this ID sign upon request. We will also have Wi-Fi in the hall and throughout the convention center for general use. This is great for checking your email, checking into your flight. But if you do plan on streaming a video or something like that in your booth, a designated Wi-Fi line is probably recommended. It won't have that capacity or capability. What you are required to order is booth carpeting or flooring, and this is mandatory. We will be carpeting the aisles, but in each booth space, it will just be the concrete exhibit hall floor. So you are required to carpet or put some sort of a flooring over your exhibit space. cleaning service, any additional cleaning services you may need. The facility will, after move-in, go in and do a kind of a general rough clean. But any additional cleaning services you may need overnight, that is your responsibility. I mentioned the dedicated internet services previously. Utilities, electricity, compressed air, all of that will be, you'd need to order directly from the convention center, and all of those order forms are available in the Freeman Exhibitor Service Kit, which we'll get to a little bit later, but all that information is in one place. Furniture, tables, chairs, this does not come standard with your booth. So any additional furnishings you may need, either bring that yourself or you can order it, again, through the Freeman Service Kit. And then Bill will talk about any additional shipping, material handling, and labor in a little bit. Special signage. If you do have a larger booth, an island that requires a hanging sign, there is a special rigging order form. So that is all things to consider and order in advance of getting to Minneapolis. We can move on to the next slide. So booth display guidelines. A majority of exhibitors do have the standard inline booth. And there's a little diagram here of a standard 10 by 10 space. Please note that the maximum back wall height of most booths is 8 feet, so please do not exceed that. If you, again, there's another requirement, keep everything in front of your booth under 4 feet. This plays into our line of sight policy. So we want everyone to have a good experience and good, visual to their booth. So please be a good neighbor and please adhere to these display guidelines that are linked. There's a link down here in the presentation, and also all of this information can be found on our respective websites and again in the Freeman Service Kit. I mentioned again, unless you have a split island, an island, or a peninsula booth, your back wall cannot be over 8 feet. The only exception is if you are on a perimeter booth, and that means your booth backs up against a wall of the convention center. There are a number of booths that do back onto the walls of the convention center. So that is the one exception where you can exceed 8 feet if you do have a standard 10 by 10 linear booth. And then here's just a little map of a couple other types of booth configurations. You can see the linear configuration, end cap, island, and split island. And all of these booth types have different display requirements, which again are outlined in that. So if you have any questions about your exhibit space and what you can and cannot do, please don't hesitate to contact show management. Additionally, if you do have one of these special booth configurations, you are required to submit a rendering to show management, and we'll go over those deadlines in just a few slides.
I'm just not gonna worry about it. Okay. Ursula, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's telling me I cannot be heard. I'll also just throw out there that if you have a question about your booth, if you're not sure what your configuration is, just let Ursula or I know. We will help you with that. The earlier that we know, the better. But please, sometimes we grant variances, not often, especially for end caps, or not for end caps, but also not for height variances over 8 feet for the regular booths. But I think it's safe to say that the better that you communicate with us, the better, and the earlier you communicate, the better. So please, if you have some questions about your booth, Ursula and I can help you. We can put you in touch with Bill. So we want you to have a good experience. So please let us know. It is never fun to tell somebody that their booth is not in compliance. So please help us to do that. All right. Okay, so I'm going to talk quickly about Exhibitor Insurance. This is, for those of you who have done the show before, you know very well that we require all of our exhibitors to provide a certificate of insurance. And that's because RSI and REMSA do not provide, we have insurance to cover ourselves, but we don't have insurance to cover your company or your display, if somebody gets injured because of your booth, those things. So please, please, please make this a priority. We have a company that we work with called Rain Protection. Rain Protection verifies all insurance for compliance. Since Ursula and I are not insurance-minded people, Rain Protection is the company that does provide compliance. So they will let you know if your insurance is compliant, and if they say yes, they'll never bother you again. So please do that. Some of our exhibitors have a hard time getting certificate of insurance policies, so they use Rain Protection to purchase it, and they do offer that for $89. We find that some exhibitors just don't have, it's just too difficult to get it through their company's insurance, or international exhibitors have a hard time getting it. So please consider that as an option for yourselves, but regardless, you're going to need to submit your insurance over to Rain Protection. I know that some exhibitors don't have a lot of materials at their booth, and they wonder if they still have to have it. And the answer is yes, because we just cannot cover you if something were to happen. So hopefully the $89 policy at the very least will help you to just kind of go in and sign the form and move on, because it's actually pretty easy to do. Let's see. Bill is going to quickly go over the Freeman Exhibitor Service Kit. So yeah, Bill, and if you want me to pull it up on the live, I can do that too. Is Bill muted? Hold on. Bill, you there?
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. The Exhibitor Service Kit, as Amanda mentioned, is on Freeman Online. The two things that you need to know about Freeman Online is that you, if you have been on a trade show where Freeman was the contractor and you set up an account, then you can use that account information to access the service kit for railway interchange. Once you create an account with Freeman, that account is good for any trade show that you participate in that Freeman is the contractor on. If you're an exhibitor that is not set up an account with Freeman, when you go on to the to Freeman Online, to the Railway Interchange Service Kit, you're going to need to register. You're going to need to register your company. You're going to need to create a password so that all the information that you're sharing with Freeman is protected. We're very concerned about identity theft, and you know, since we're dealing with credit cards, you're going to working with Freeman Pay to make sure that the information that you're providing Freeman is kept safe, and we can assure you it is. We have the highest security of any contractor in the country for making sure that your credit card information is safe. So you'll either have to register, or if you've already registered, you can go ahead and start. You're going to receive some of you may already have received an email notification from Freeman with the link to the service kit to be able to start ordering. And this is the landing page. And if you stop right here, Amanda, right here, it says forms and brochures. You can click on that, and that'll take you to all the specific forms and brochures within the service kit. If you scroll down, Amanda, you can see this says, yep, show information, show management information. There's all the information in the top that Amanda and Ursula have made available for you: the rain protection order form, the exhibitor appointed contractor notification form, EAC form for short, the display rules and regulations, and the general information. That's the quick facts, the freight target schedule plan, and then we have information, payment information, targeted freight schedule again. And then you start getting down into the other order forms and information where it's shipping and material handling, furnishings and carpet. And so that this is, we can click out of this. This is, these are all the individual forms if you want to do that, but you can also click on any of these tabs and it'll take you right to those services. If you scroll.
Sorry, do you want me to go back to it?
Yes, please.
Let me see if I can figure that out. Hold on.
Yeah, maybe you just click on the link. And
Okay.
And here we are on the landing page. That's good. If you could scroll down, these are all the Freeman services right there. If you keep scrolling down, here's, frequently missed suggestions for you. Keep scrolling down. And yeah, that's for material handling. And then if you go to, scroll back up a little bit, shop products and services, you can click on that tab.
All right.
And now that takes you to the Freeman Services. And then if you scroll down, Amanda,
yep,
it'll take you to keep going down. Keep going down. These are the here's all the specialty contractors. So again, your exhibitor liability insurance, that's rain protection, lead retrieval, which is provided by the registration company called RCS, and then the facility services. They provide the cleaning, the electrical, plumbing, all of that. Any utilities, internet, that's all services provided along with cleaning by the Minneapolis Convention Center. So if you click on any of these tabs to be able to order any of those services.
Right.
The other thing is, if you want to talk to a human, you're always welcome to contact the Freeman Exhibitor Services Department. There's a call-in number listed on the quick fax, and you can also email the Freeman Chicago ES Department.
That's
you
not
can
it. Okay.
It's on the quick fax, which is
okay.
you can go through there.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, there's a number.
Right. Yes. So, and then also the other thing that if you notice, it says concierge. Railway Interchange is a concierge elite show. When you arrive at show site, there is going to be a Freeman representative that's assigned to the area that your booth space is in. There will be 2 concierges, and they're going to visit your booth every day. They're going to come by every day and visit your booth, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, and they're going to introduce themselves to you. Even though you can go to the Freeman Service Desk, which is outside in meeting room 102 E&F, you don't have to. You can, Concierge Elite allows you to, work with the concierge to place orders at show site, right there in your booth with the concierge. They can check on orders for you. It's just personal interaction, so you don't have to leave your booth space. But the other thing with Freeman Online is you can use your phone, your iPad. You can order services yourself from your booth just using your device. Just go on to Freeman Online, enter your account information, and you're there in your booth. You can order services. You can get notifications. You can even
So there's a lot you can do with that app. So it would be good to get that set up early so that when you get there, your app is ready to go. I will say that the concierge experience is really helpful, Bill. So we're grateful to partner with Freeman, who can kind of come booth to booth and problem solve for people.
Well, thanks, Amanda. We're cognizant that you need the time in your booth space, and we try to make it so you don't have to leave your booth space to conduct business with Freeman. We'll come to you.
Very good. We're going to quickly talk, because there's always a lot of questions about shipping at this show, especially for larger crates and things like that. So the shipping deadlines are August 29th. Well, I guess that's not really a shipping deadline, but that is the last day that you can get your discounted price through Freeman for services. August 22nd is when the Freeman Advanced Warehouse will start receiving freight. And then let's see, the deadline for advanced freight is the 11th, and the 19th is when they start accepting freight at show site. Do not send your materials to show site until September 19th or later, right? Because there's nobody there to get it. Is that correct, Bill?
That's correct. I mean, we're not going to be in the building, and so you have to make sure that your carrier follows the deadline, the dates for making the deliveries.
Very good. some kind of frequently asked questions are, which carrier should I use for freight? Bill, I think you made some recommendations last time based on kind of how they charge and waiting lines. Can you kind of explain that process?
Well, depending on it's personal choice on what kind of carriers you want to use for your freight. Certainly, the common carriers are well known. There's YRC, there's UPS Freight, and then you get into subsets where there's Old Dominion and some other kind of carriers like that. It's personal preference, but YRC and UPS Freight are probably the two largest carriers in the trade show industry, so they understand more about trade show freight than, say, some carriers that don't normally to handle that. FedEx and UPS for those kind of carriers, express carriers, you can utilize them to send your materials, but just know that when it comes to weekends, UPS and FedEx don't deliver on Sundays, and if you want something delivered to you on Saturday, only FedEx will make Saturday delivery, but it's something that you have to pay for and notate when you contract with them. But again, if you use UPS or FedEx, they have to follow the timelines for delivering the freight. So you got to be careful. If you use them and they try to show up before September 19th, and they try to make a delivery, and railway interchange hasn't started moving in yet, they could return your freight saying that there was nobody there to accept it. Well, of course there wasn't. They showed up on the wrong date, too early.
Very good. Is there a specific procedure for privately owned vehicles to be unloaded?
Well, yes, and in a privately owned vehicle, usually that's somebody that they want assistance from Freeman to help them unload. So what you'll do is you can pull into the dock area. There is no marshaling yard. There's a security guard check there, and if you're pulling in as to have Freeman help you unload, they're going to direct you to a location where one of the ramps leading into the exhibit hall that will get your vehicle over there, and then we'll help you unload it. But a privately owned vehicle is something no larger than an SUV. I mean, if you showed up in a panel van, a box truck, or something like that, or if you're pulling a trailer, that's not. POV is a vehicle no larger than an SUV.
Very good. And we're going to be working our assignment at the Minneapolis Convention Center to try to expedite the process for POVs. I don't quite have that figured out yet, but we certainly don't want POVs kind of stuck in line with the large freight carriers. So I don't quite have that figured out yet, but we are working with them to kind of streamline that process to give those companies a specific time that they should come into the dock. So stay tuned for that, and you'll also need to kind of help me to help Ursula and I understand what your vehicle is so we can confirm that it's a smaller vehicle.
Right.
And finally, Bill, go ahead.
Just a word on that. Anybody that's a self-unloader where you don't have to use Freeman Services, but you only got about 20 minutes to unload your vehicle. So, I mean, if you've got more stuff that it's going to take longer, well, you're not really a self-unloader. It's meant to be for convenience. So if you're going to take a long time, you're delaying the ramp access for somebody else that needs to self-unload. And once you get access to self-unload, or you don't get extended parking privileges either. You'll get towed if you're not out of there in 20, 30 minutes. I can assure you that. Because the security behind the convention center, they're going to be watching. So there's you can't, a pass to get to the loading dock does not mean you get to park your car back there. It only means you self-unload, and then you have to leave.
Very good. We got a question. Can we choose a shipping company and have our items shipped to the show site, or does Freeman receive these and deliver them to our booth? That's right. So the shipping company, the shipping labels, right? And they ship them to Freeman knows what to do with them. The shipping labels.
Well, it's an elementary question. If the exhibitor is shipping something, let's say you're shipping your materials, you'll use the shipping labels that are in the service kit, whether they're for the warehouse or direct to show site. You're going to put those shipping labels on your materials, whether it's an individual box, a pallet, a crate, whatever it is you're sending. And then when your carrier makes the pickup, those labels are on the crate, identifying it when it shows up either at the warehouse or show site as to where it needs to be delivered to, because the ship put your company name and booth number on. And that's an important thing that you need to know out when you're putting the shipping labels on your materials prior to shipping them. But yes, if you send it to the warehouse, or as I said before, if you send things to the warehouse, when you show up at show site, your materials that you ship to the warehouse will already be in your booth. If you ship direct to show site, your carrier will be unloaded, and we're looking for the shipping labels, and then we take those materials directly to your booth.
Very good. Does FedEx pick up outbound freight at the booth location? I don't think they do they?
No. What they do is they pull up out in the dock area, and they give us all the bills with the different exhibitors they're picking up for. And then that tells us that if they have the exhibitor notifications with them, that means the exhibitor did the right thing, which is to notify either FedEx or UPS that you want them to make a pickup. And then we go to the booth, get the materials, and we bring it to the FedEx or the UPS truck.
Very good. All right. Just a few FAQs here. Where is the Freeman Service Center located? That'll be your outside room, 102D. Hold on, is this my slides? Anyway, it's outside hall 102D. Lead retrieval is also located in the Freeman Service Center. That's where you can go, if you need to get lead retrieval, and that's also where the Freeman office will be, as I said. How long will the empty return process take? The empty return process starts after the carpet is picked up. Bill, how does your timeline usually work for the empty returns?
Okay, and it's all about the logistics, how fast it can happen. And at Minneapolis, there's no empty crate storage on site, so everything that comes in, the crates and the boxes, everything has to be loaded onto tractor trailers and taken off site, because there's no covered storage, there's no area that we can keep the empties for the return at the end of the show. So it's going to take approximately 4 hours after the aisle carpet is removed to return every single empty, and so you have to build in that time. If you got big crates, we're going to bring back the smaller cardboard cases and fiber cases for the smaller exhibitors. They're going to get their stuff first. The larger crates are going to come back, and it's going to take about 4 hours after the aisle carpet is removed for that process to take place.
Very good, Bill. Thank you. Let's see. How late can I work in the hall? We kind of discussed that. Once the hall closes for kind of move in or move out, you can stay, but you can't get back in. So kind of finish up what you're doing and try to get out. I know a lot of the really big exhibitors, especially that first day of the show, they just don't come back until the next day because they know it's going to take several hours. So that's very often. Where can I find electrical and cleaning services? The Minneapolis Convention Center provides those kinds of utilities. So they have an area in the back of the convention center in the loading dock area where you can ask questions or order those services. My recommendation is always to do that stuff early. Order your electrical, order your cleaning, order any of those services ahead of time. But they will have a presence down in the back of the hall in the dock area. Where can I find RSI and REMSA show management? RSI will be outside Hall D. That's where I'll be, and I'll also just be walking around. And REMSA is actually not outside of Hall C. they are in Hall C. So sorry about that. They'll have a large room. Exhibitor profiles, just because we talk a lot about your online exhibitor profiles. This is where you log on to your portal and you can make edits and changes to your profile so that it's live on the floor plan. So if people go to the floor plan, they can see what your company does. There's also an option to read. So please, please, please use that service and go in and update your site so that you have some extra presence. That will also show up on the overall show event app. And I think something else important to know is that right now there's 3 separate floor plans, but we actually will have one giant floor plan, I think, very soon. So it will all transfer over so everyone can look at the indoor exhibit hall, you know, in one floor plan instead of 3. So new this year is we have some booth profile enhancements that you can purchase. So if there's a new product that you have, if there's something that you want to do to put your company name out there, there is an option to enhance your booth profile so it will show up more prominently on the app, things like that. So that's a new option this year. You'll still get most of the services that we got last time for the booth profile. This is specifically for additional services. And finally, you can edit your profile at any time. So if you go to the show site and you see a typo, you're just going to need to log in and make those changes. If it's a desperate situation, I'm sure that Ursula and I can also log in for you and help you with that. But it's a pretty quick change. So please use that, you know, to your advantage and update it and upload your products and services, things like that. It really does help kind of let people know who you are before the show even starts. And also, you know, you can search by categories, so you want to make sure you have yourself in the categories. Let's see. Getting social. Our hashtag for the show is hashtag Railway Interchange. Ursula and I have sent out exhibitor web stickers. You can use those to promote yourself as an exhibitor at the show. I think they're pretty snazzy, so please use them on Twitter, kind of social media, or you could also, I see no reason why you couldn't even put them on your signature line, but please use that to promote yourself at the show. I got some handles down there, things like that. What's next? Exhibitor Security. I believe that is Ursula. We're almost done here, guys. Ursula, you're up.
All right, thanks, Amanda. So quickly going over security, safety and security is of the utmost importance to show management. So we take this very seriously. We will have a designated EMT on site during the entire length of the show. That includes move-in and move-out. And then security, we will have designated security roaming the halls overnight while the show is closed, and then security guards at all entrances during the day, during move-in, move-out, and show hours, making sure everyone has the appropriate badges or wristbands. So some tips. One of our biggest issues at the show, and it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, unfortunately, is theft. So please be cognizant of this. Please do not leave your valuables sitting out on the table. Small phones, electronics, wallets, computers are all easy targets. Additionally, a lot of folks are of the mindset that anything on those tables is up for grabs. So, you know, if it's out there, it's up for grabs. So just make sure that if you don't want it snatched away, make sure you put it in a safe spot, out of plain sight and secured. And always, if you see something, do say something. One other thing I do want to mention is our suitcasing policy or outboarding policy. And what this refers to is non-exhibiting companies or people who are walking around during the trade show at either in the halls or in the lobbies or hotel lobbies, participating hotel lobbies, and soliciting their business without having an exhibit booth. So if you do suspect suitcasing, please bring that to show management attention. and we will address it immediately. This is something that does happen occasionally, and so again, if you suspect it, please bring it to our attention, and we will do our best to address it in a very timely manner. One other thing I do want to mention quickly is that occasionally someone from a company will, at registration, will grab all of their registration badges and take them back to their booth, and that presents an issue when another colleague from your company goes to the registration desk and says, I'm picking up my badge, but it's already been printed and it's in the booth in the hall. Well, that presents an issue because you won't be able to get access into the exhibit hall without your badge, nor will you be able to, or will we be able to reprint a badge. So please just, at the registration desk, please just grab your badge only and leave it up to your colleagues to pick up their own badges. And then just, I think that covers it for safety. And then just some quick deadlines to cover. July 19th, that's our all exhibitors with specialty booths. As discussed earlier, this includes islands, split islands, peninsula booths, or end caps. They will need to submit a rendering of their booth by July 19th. So please send that either to myself or Amanda, depending on with which association you are exhibiting. August 1 is the insurance deadline, so all certificates of insurance must be submitted to rain protection by August 1st. August 10th is another important date to note. If you are using an exhibitor appointed contractor, so if you are using someone other than Freeman to create your booth, you will need to let us know, and that way when they come in to build your exhibit space, we can give them access to the hall with a registration, with a wristband. August 16th is another important date to put on your calendar. Registration rates will increase by $50 across the board. This does not impact the complimentary badges that come with your exhibit space. However, if you do realize at that point that you need to purchase an additional badge, that will the price on that will increase. So best to register in advance of August 16th. August 24th, the hotel block does cut off, and that at that point, you know, our inventory will decrease substantially. So if you plan on attending and need a hotel room, please do so and book before the 24th. And as Bill mentioned earlier, the Freeman discount, early bird discount rate does expire on August 29th. So any services you would need to order from Freeman Furnishing, again, recommended to get all of those in prior to the 29th. So
yeah, and I would just,
oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to pop in and say that in terms of hotels, we are nearly out of hotel rooms. So please go ahead and book your rooms. Don't book more than you need, but please book your room so that, you know, we can make sure that you're, you know, hopefully not too far from the convention center. All right. Okay. I will unmute if anybody has questions, maybe if I can get it to work. How do I get it to work? Oh. Okay, everybody's unmuted. Go ahead. You know what? I'm having trouble hearing. You might just want to put it in the chat box. Or if you want me, or I can mute everybody and I can make you the presenter. Let's do that. Let's try that. Or can I do that? Or just make the person with the question, like, let them talk? Okay, never mind. Just send me your question. Do you need, Heather says, do you need to be there at unloading for furniture rental placements, or can small counters be moved by us if they're not in the right location? Yes, Heather, if you've got something that you want to move, you can move it. Sabine says, when is the webinar for outdoor exhibits? I think in the next week or two. We're still kind of finalizing that date. Does anybody else have questions? The targeted move-in back. Let me send that out after the webinar because it's actually hard to read. So that will be one of the things that I send in addition to a recording of the webinar and the slides and things like that. I'll also include a link to the service kit and a link to the quick facts and a link to the targeted move-in schedule. Okay. Any other questions? All right, I just want to thank everybody for their time and their patience with our technology issues. A big shout out to Bill Zapowski from AAR who came in to save me from this webinar to help me to fix my technical difficulties. And I really appreciate all of your help. And I think the big takeaway here is that if you have questions, Ursula and I are more than happy to answer them. And we'd love to know your questions early so that we can avoid any problems. So please reach out to us. That's what we're here for, and we want you to have a good experience. That's really important to us. Ursula, Bill, do you guys have anything? All right, it sounds like no. Thanks, everybody. Bill, Ursula, sorry, you're muted. Do you guys have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you, Amanda, to you and Ursula for putting the webinar together.
All right. Okay, everybody, take care.
Thank you, everyone.